My name is Gabby, and I'm from Bolivar, Missouri. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey to whenever I realized that transparency leads to the idea of connectedness. Transparency, as we all know, is defined as the ability to perceive or to easily detect something. Growing up, I didn't have a hard time being transparent. Some might say that transparency was one of my personality traits. I was very extroverted and involved. I didn't know a stranger. I was very involved with my family. I was very involved with my friends. I was very involved with my community. Forming new relationships didn't really intimidate me. So moving to college didn't really intimidate me either. About my third month into college, I had been sick for a couple of weeks and didn't know why. I visited the doctor multiple times and had tons of diagnostic testing done, except for one, a pregnancy test. One of my roommates suggested that I take a pregnancy test, and that pregnancy test was positive. It took about 8 more for me to realize that the 5-year plan that everybody had always glorified wouldn't be going how I planned. I started to disconnect from people. I couldn't participate in some of the activities my friends and my family could participate in. And after having my son, I spiraled into postpartum depression. If I knew then what I know now, I think my outcome would have been a little different. 54% of postpartum depressed moms never had a history of depression, and I fell into this 54%. My emotions were disconnected from my mind. I didn't know what was going on with me. I would look at my tiny, tiny baby, and I wanted so badly to be a mother. But whenever I would look at him, I would want to just disappear. I thought he would be better off without me. 1 in 5 women suffer from maternal mental health disorders like postpartum depression, which equals around 600,000 women yearly in the United States alone. During this time, I felt alone. I didn't want to be a burden on anyone. I didn't want to ask for help, and I really did not know what to do. At one of my postpartum appointments, I was screened with a depression screening, and I scored high enough to be eligible to receive treatment. Although embarrassed, I accepted that treatment, and after receiving the treatment that I needed, I found the motivation to go to nursing school. I still was disconnected at the beginning of nursing school. I was trying to find my identity as a young mother, and I really didn't have a lot of time to mend those relationships that I had lost whenever I was so severely depressed. I was very anxious about passing my tests, and I was very anxious about halfway through nursing school because I had my daughter, and I didn't want to fall back into the postpartum depression that I was once in. Past all this, somehow, I graduated, but I graduated in the year 2020. And in 2020, we had a bigger obstacle, COVID-19. If someone were to ask me how to describe the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, I would describe it as an era where the entire world was in a catastrophic disconnect. I began working at a long-term care facility, and if you ever visited a long-term care facility in COVID-19, you might have related it to a prison. It was one of the saddest places on earth. I had a hard time connecting to my residents because they were angry and hurt. I had to arrange phone calls with my residents and their loved ones, and then they could only see them through a tablet screen or another type of device. They could only see their loved ones through an outside window. We masked. It was a requirement to mask by the CDC, so we did so diligently. And I couldn't even share a smile with my residents in their last moments of life. I was still disconnected, and I knew why I had become a nurse, to help others in difficult times. But in this difficult time, I couldn't even help myself. I wanted a fresh start, so I moved 7 hours away where nobody could judge me from being a teen mom. Nobody could judge me for doing everything backwards, for having kids before getting married, for graduating nursing school in the middle of this horrible pandemic. And I began working at a pediatric home health care agency where I was selected to be the nurse of a 4-year-old little girl named Charlotte. And Charlotte changed my life forever. Charlotte had cerebral palsy. She was blind and deaf, completely dependent. She had a tube, which is called a G-tube, and she received all of her medications through the G-tube and all of her nutrition through the G-tube. I went everywhere with the family. I would go to school with Charlotte. I would go to church with the family. We would go out to eat to public places. And I saw how hard it was for caregivers of children with special needs try to connect with the community. A lot of times when someone doesn't act how we act, someone doesn't talk how we talk, we don't know what to say. And this disconnection helped me relate to them on this level. Whenever we would go to these public outings, I would have to expose Charlotte whenever doing a diaper change or administering a feeding. And we would get a lot of weird looks from the community. One day, Charlotte's parents came to me and asked me to be transparent with them, which at this time felt really far out of reach. My once extroverted self had become more introverted. I didn't really like stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I wasn't really confident in my critical thinking skills. But they wanted me to be transparent with them in the innovation phase of what is now known as the Charlotte Letter Clothing Company. The Charlotte Letter Clothing Company is an adaptive clothing line. And this adaptive clothing line helped caregivers of children with special needs and children with special needs connect with the community. They wanted me to tell them what designs worked best for diaper changes and what didn't work best for the diaper changes. What designs worked best for the G-tube, what didn't work best for the G-tube, and what materials were buttery soft to help children that have sensory issues. These adaptive rompers now zip up completely, allowing easy access for diaper changes so that you don't have to expose the child at all. There are slots in the abdomen of the rompers that are very well hidden that allow easy access for administering those medications and that nutrition through that G-tube. And they are so buttery soft. I got to see how their transparency led to connection. A lot of times, I will get a compliment on the outfit that my child is wearing. And this makes me feel really good as a mother. I got to see how children or parents of children that have special needs get to be able to feel this way too. One of my most favorite t-shirt designs that they've come up with is a t-shirt that says, "Just say hi." And "Just say hi" is the most transparent phrase an individual could say. Because if someone were to just say hi to me when I was struggling so badly with depression, I wouldn't have felt so alone. I wouldn't have felt like a burden to anyone. I would feel like someone actually wanted to connect with me. If I were to just say hi to my residents in the beginning of COVID-19, it would have made them feel less like prisoners and more like individuals. Just saying hi is something I strive to do in my current nursing practice today because it helps me form nurse-patient relationships that I so badly wanted whenever I became a nurse. And just saying hi helps connect caregivers of children with special needs and children with special needs to the community. Just saying hi is the most transparent phrase an individual could ever say. And this transparency leads to a sense of connectedness that is untouchable. And so I end with a quote by Christine Caine, who is a survivor of human trafficking, who too once felt alone. Whenever you are in a dark place, you might think you have been buried when actually you have been planted. Don't forget to just say hi. Thank you.